Right now, I'm very honored to bring up a dear friend of mine, David Osborn. I met him about 7 years ago, and it's literally changed my life, you guys. The guy is incredible. What Lockhead is to the tech world, David Osborn is to the real estate world. Simply the most brilliant person I have ever met in real estate. With that, I introduce David Osborn.
How's everybody doing? Awesome. I love it. I don't know how. I usually have to do that 2 or 3 times. With you guys, it's just once. Tim said to me the other day, about 3 months ago, he said, "David, do you believe in free speech?" And I said, "Yes, of course." And he said, "Great, because I want you to give one in Reno." He said, "Not only that, but I want you to pay for the privilege to do it." I said, "Awesome, I'm in, Tim. Anything for you." Listen, my job up here is easy, and that is because it's all about you. See, all I wish for this moment, for this session, is that you get value. My number one dream in life is that all your dreams come true. So I'm going to share with you some tools that I've used and built over 15, 20 years of being a dream-living individual that you can choose to use or not. If you choose to use them, I believe they'll change your life. They've changed mine. If you choose not to, I'll be sad, but not that sad, because I'm going to keep living my life, and my life's pretty awesome. So I'm going to show you these tools. I'm going to ask you to use them, and I'm going to make you work. Are you guys on board with doing a little bit of work today? Are you willing to do some life development for yourself? Okay, you're all in for your lives, right? See, there's been a lot of talk recently about 1%ers and 99%ers, but I think that's all BS. See, I believe in being a 100%er. I want each one of you guys to be a 100%er for your life. Not a 99, not a 1, not this, not that, but just all in for your life and what you can contribute. So I'm going to show you a journey. Now that I've introduced myself, I'm taking the jacket off. So here's how it rolls, right? My life's interesting. I'm a military brat. My dad was a Green Beret colonel. I was raised in Germany and England. Yeah. Well, it wasn't me. He's dead now of cancer from Agent Orange, but he was a hell of a guy. He was tough as nails. My dad taught me some amazingly useful things. For instance, if you're ever in an ambush, charge right at the guy shooting at you, making the most noise possible. It's the shortest way out of the gunfire, and usually they'll break and run, and it's a lot easier to shoot them running away from you than let them shoot at you as you're running away from them. So now you know, right? If you guys are ever walking down Main Street and you're in an ambush, charge right at the guy shooting at you and make a lot of noise. He also showed me how to use claymore mines, but I'm not going to show you that one. It's a little intense. So that was useful in some ways, but I decided to go a slightly different way. My mom was a home mom, a home housemaker, a housewife, until she was about 50 years old, 48 years old. Then she got into real estate, and I never saw her again. So the whole reason I got into real estate was to see some more of my mom. She's an amazing lady, too. High integrity, great work ethic. But my background was moving schools, changing, military brat. I wasn't a great student. You know, there's a young man in here, Hunter, who I know from Steamboat Springs. He said to me the other day, "I get so annoyed at the teachers at school." And I was like, yeah, I felt exactly the same way. In fact, my idea of a good grade was D, because what does D stand for? Diploma. Yes, that's right. D stands for degree. See, I never understood, going to like 10 schools in 15 years, why I should be listening to a guy that I wasn't sure really cared about my best interests. Why I should listen. Now, that's not all teachers, just 1 or 2, right? It just takes 1 or 2. Why some of them seem to be telling me something that I'd never use in life. Like, how often do you guys use calculus to figure out how to pay your toll bill at the end of the month or to pay for your parking? Anybody? Right, so that's what I was thinking. Why am I learning this? I don't like it. Plus, having a Green Beret dad at home, you're not really that scared of authority figures. I was scared of him. But really, I'd be like, that's all you got? You're going to have to do more. So I was a little bit of a troublemaker. I got thrown out of a few schools. Well, I go through all the way through this, and I go through college, and I get out with a 2.3, and I barely make it, right? Then I got into business, and I got into sales, and I learned something about learning. I learned that there are situations where you learn something, and you apply it, and it makes a massive difference. And then if you learn some more, and you apply it again, it expands your life even further. And all of a sudden, I became addicted to learning. I became a person that loves learning. In fact, I became a person that wished he could go back to that 16-year-old kid, like Hunter is right now, and say, there is a value in learning. The value of learning is learning how to learn. And the sooner you get on board with learning what's best for you and what your mission and what your purpose is in life, it'll make all the difference. So I'm going to share a story of how I went from that sort of lost, rebellious kid to a multimillionaire in real estate. I'm going to share with you also the story of my mom, who took on a career at age 50 and also became very wealthy in real estate. And I'm going to talk to you about how not only is it about wealth, but it's about living a balanced, amazing life where everything you choose to do, you have a high, high percentage success rate of making happen. And you're going to do the work, so that's what's cool. All right, so here we go. It's called Creating Your Life Plan. And before we go any further, I'd like to thank my beloved Tracy Korn. Tracy, please stand up for a second. As with all my presentations, I'm always working on them at the last minute. She's busy changing them, and she's yelling at me because I'm like, oh, add this. And she's like, no! But she does it anyway, and it works out awesome. And so, thank you, Tracy. I love you. All right, so creating your life plan, that's where we're going to go. In order to create a plan, you have to ask yourself first, where I am now. You've got to start with awareness, right? Awareness is everything in life. You know, kids are highly, highly aware. They're tuned into what they want each moment and each day. But as we go through life, things shut down our awareness. Maybe an authority figure said, you can't do that one too many times. Maybe you got so unhappy about something that you just tried to shut down a little bit more of your soul. Or maybe just something went wrong for you and you couldn't find a way through, so you just started tuning out and tuning into maybe a TV show or tuning into a video game or tuning into something that distracts you from life. What I'm asking you to do is to be highly, highly aware, to be as fully present to yourself as you can, just like those children are, because with that awareness, you can make a massive difference in your life. The awareness will show you the way. And if you don't plug into that awareness, then it's almost impossible to make breakthroughs. So where are you now? And we're going to start with this quote, one of my favorites of all time. Does anyone know Jim Rohn? Jim Rohn was an awesome speaker, right? And he said, if you go to work on your goals will go to work on you. If you go to work on your plan will go to work on you. Whatever great things you end up building us. Okay, so that's Jim. Here's another way of looking at it. Here's Dilbert. Wally, can you attend my meeting on Friday? He says, I'm very busy, but I'll meet you halfway. She says, well, what does that mean in this context? And he says, they say half of life is just showing up. I'll be doing the other half. So don't be that guy. Tim said at the very beginning, be curious and play all in, right? That's all I'm asking you to do. This is your life. Now, when I teach in front of classes, I'll give you a little example. I teach to a lot of realtors, and in 2011, I thought we'd hit the bottom of the real estate cycle. So I went to my class, I had 120 people in the room, and I said, go buy real estate right now. I want every one of you to go buy a house right now. Every year I speak to the same group. I came back 1 year later. It was now beginning of 2012. Guess what? About 3 people out of 140 had actually bought a house. I was discouraged in one sense, but excited for those 3, and they came up and thanked me and shared me stories. I said the same thing. We're still at a great time to buy real estate. Interest rates are incredibly low. Go buy an investment property. When I came back at the beginning of 2013, 8 people had bought a house. So I was really excited. Yes, am I disappointed that 112 people took no action? I used to be more disappointed. But today, you know what I realized? Some people want it and some people don't. And if you want it, I'm all in for you. And if you don't, that's cool too, man. It's your choice. You got a lifetime here. You get one life, as far as I know. I mean, I haven't had any evidence that I get 2, but I think I get 1. So far I believe I get 1 life, and it's up to you to choose to use it or not. That's your choice. And I'm not going to judge you for it, but I love the guys that come up and say, I got a house. And when I taught it at the beginning of 2013, the 3rd time, about 15 people had bought a house. And you know what happened in 2013 to real estate? It exploded. So I'm pretty sure that 14 of those 15 people made a great decision, and I'm excited for them. All right, so we're going to start with awareness, and we're going to be fully in for our lives. Are you guys fully in for your life? 1, 2, 3, yes! Yes! Okay, I love it. All right, let's start with the Life Happiness Index. All these tools, by the way, are things that Tim and I use all year long. So there are things that we've designed and developed over 15 to 16 years, stealing from great minds, borrowing from other people, that we use to keep ourselves tuned in to a magnificent life. And one of them is called the LHI, the Life Happiness Index. Now, the LHI serves to be like a dashboard on your car to show you where your life is going. I don't know about you guys, but I find there are a lot of stimulations in life. There's cell phones, there's texts, there's websites, there's TV shows, there's driving a car, there's listening to music. There's so much coming in, it's hard to know where you are. Ideally, you would just know, because your awareness would be so awake, but it's not usually that way. Usually we get distracted. So what Tim and I do is we take this Life Happiness Index And we go through it, and we rate ourselves on a 1 to 10 in all these areas. And then we have like a dashboard showing us where we're on track and off track. So take a minute, everybody slow down, tune in, and give yourself a 1 to 10 on all these areas. So on diet and water, are you nailing it or not? 1 to 10. On life exercise, on life planning, are you nailing it? You know what? At the end of this class, you'll be able to give yourself a 9 on life planning if you play. Okay? So take a minute and roll down there. If you don't have children, just skip it. It's not relevant. Remember, this is just a tool. And at the very bottom, there's a space for you to add in anything you want to add in. So take a minute. I'm going to give you a minute. Don't think too hard. So you can take this home and use it every quarter. What did you learn from that? Anybody? Got some work to do. Need more risk and excitement. All right? So somebody stand up and tell me something they learned from that exercise. Brandy. What was it? Tell me what you've improved on since last time we did this together. Great. So you've improved all of those. Here's a book for you. You see, in life, I've noticed that when you show up, you get stuff. When you show up and you contribute and you play and you go all in, things come your way. So remember, you're always going to get rewarded for playing. And I understand that in school it's different, right? I was the kid at the back of the class. I feel embarrassed about it now because when I go to speak, I know how hard it is to be at the front of the class. When everyone's at the back of the class just talking, it doesn't help to be a teacher. So I felt bad about that, but that's who I was. I was the guy at the back of the class going, what is he talking about now? Why do I need to know the phyla of a giraffe? I'm never going to go around and say, hey, did you know a giraffe is Noctimus mopopodus? I don't know that. Why am I learning this? It used to drive me crazy. But you know what's interesting about the real world? In the real world, if you're actually that kid at the front holding your hand up and going, guessing whatever the answer is, you start getting rewarding. If you show up for your life and you step forward, you'll start getting rewarding and your dreams will start coming true. So that's a tool. My encouragement to you is to take this tool with you and use it once a quarter. Have someone you share it with. See, for me, it's very easy. When I go through this, I'll notice, like last time I did it, my contribution was low. And I said to Tim, my contribution is low. I'm not giving away as much money as I like to give away each year. You know what he said to me? That's cool, because I need more money for One Life, so you can give me some money. And I said, okay. He's asked me 8 times since I said that. So it also shows you, are you off track with your family? Are you off track with your plan? Okay? Because here's life, right? Life has 2 games, in my opinion. There's the ground game and the air game, all right? So the ground game is what we do naturally. Everything is built around the ground game. The ground game is getting up, going to work. If you're a plumber fixing pipes, if you're a football player playing football, if you're a lawyer doing legal work, that's all the ground game, right? You show up every day, you get after it on your ground game. You can go your whole life only having a ground game. Some people have great ground games. They might be a sales guy that makes $1 million a year. Some guy might have not developed their ground game at all and might be 50 years old making Subway sandwiches. But you know what the only difference is between a magnificent life and just a life of moving through it unconsciously is your air game. So what's your air game? What's that? Your happiness. It is partially that, but it's actually your strategy, your tactics for your life. So no one in high school says, what's your strategy for your life? Has anyone said, hey, this is the tactics class, we're going to teach you how to design a magnificent life in high school? No, they don't do that, right? They teach you ground game. They teach you to go be a good consumer, go be a good employee, go be a good worker. But the air game is where you step back and say, what do I want for my life? I've gone through high school, I've got the education, or I'm in it right now. What do I want for my life? What am I going to choose to be my passion, my pursuit, my music that I play? And that's your air game. And this tool is one of your ways to keep an awareness into your air game. Because as I said, you can live your entire life asleep. In fact, they almost want you to do that. It's almost designed for you to sleep your way through life. But a tool like this helps you wake up. And some other tools we're going to show you next. All right, so here I am in real estate. I'm a young guy. Got in business with my mom temporarily because I was looking for a real job. And I'd just been hitchhiking around the world for 2 years and I had no money. So I came back. I said, hey, Mom, I'm going to work for you temporarily while I look for a real job. Because real estate, everyone knows, is not a real job. And it happened to be with a tiny company at the time called Keller Williams out of Austin, Texas. And there was this guy called Gary Keller. I think I was 26, so he would have been 36. He's 10 years older than me. And he was a teacher, and a motivational teacher, a speaker, a lecturer, whatever. And he taught this class called Quantum Leap. I've been in the business like a year. And they made me go to this class. And I said, I don't want to go to the class. I want to go sell a house. I need to make some money. I'm in debt, man. I got credit card debt. And they're like, no, you got to go to class. If you're going to be at Keller Williams, you got to be trained. I'm like, okay, back in school again. I'm 26 years old. I just got out with all my C's, but here I am back in class again. And so I got into this class. And so Gary Keller made us do this exercise, and it's the one I'm going to have you guys do next. He said, okay, David, if you were sitting down with me, if you were sitting down with me in 5 years, what has to happen for your life to have been a magnificent life? And I thought, I don't know, and I don't care, because I got to call Billy So, and Billy wants to rent a house for me, and I'm going to make $600 commission, and I don't even want to sit in this room. But Gary is a very compelling guy. He's a billionaire, right? So he's very intense. And there's only like 20 people in the class. So he kind of came and stood right over me. So I thought, well, shoot, I better write something. So I started writing. And I sat there, and I thought of about 20 things in this class that I'd never thought of, right? Things that I wanted to achieve in the next 5 years. And I wrote them down. A couple of them I had in my mind, but mostly I had to create them right then, right there. I wrote them all down. So then I went back to my office, and what did I do with that piece of paper? Well, I didn't put it in the trash, but I had the next best thing. I had a file called Later. And it was a drawer, and I just opened that drawer, and I threw it in there, closed it out, and I went and rented a house to Billy Bob or Joey Sue or whoever it was. I'm in Texas, so they are all called Billy Bob. So I go in and I leave it and I forget about it. Well, about a year later or 2 years later, that drawer is getting so full of stuff. You know, that drawer is always like, you can't even close it anymore, right? So I'm like, okay, I guess I got to go through this stuff. So about a week later, I grab all that stuff, and that's the G version, and I put it on my desk, and I just start going through it, right? And I'm throwing away this, training from that, training from this, licensing stuff, whatever. And, there's my electricity bill. That probably explains why they turned off my lights. And then I found this piece of paper. And it was this piece of paper that Gary had made me do. And it's about 24 months later. And you know what I was amazed at? Of those things that I'd been forced to think of in class, I'd achieved about 50% of them. So I'd been there, and I'd manifested that because someone bullied me into doing it or kind of stood over me and made me do it. And then suddenly, a year and a half or 2 years later, 10 magnificent new things had come into my life that I'd written down as a goal that someone had made me think of. And a light bulb went on. And I thought to myself, what if I did this all the time? What if I chose what I wanted, wrote it down, and then just reviewed it on a continuous basis? Do you think I'd be more likely or less likely to get what I want? And that's what happened for me. And that was the beginning of a journey that has become just a magnificent adventure. So take a minute right now and write down what would have. So here's how it goes. Dakota's sitting with me, and he says, David, the last 5 years have been incredible. He's in this room. It's the year 2018. And he says, the last 5 years have been incredible because I fill in the blank. That's your life. Just think in terms of health. Think in terms of wealth. Think in terms of lifestyle and adventure, family. Anything you can think of. There are no limits. It's your life. Nothing better than sitting next to someone in a bar when they're 40 years old and they're like, oh, my dad screwed me up. Okay, well, hey, that worked at 20 maybe, but you're 40 now, buddy. If you haven't figured it out by now, you ought to cut your dad a break. He probably didn't have it easy either. So you could just blame your parents the rest of your life. My nephew sent me an email once just reaming on his parents, and I just sent him back a response. I said, dude, you're 16. You're out of the house in 2 years. You know, you could practice skills of complaining about your mom and dad, or you're actually 16, you just go rent an apartment, get a job, and live all by yourself right now if you want to. The blaming game doesn't work. It just traps you. So I'm going to show you something that's worked for me, right? You guys are cool, you're writing. Keep writing all the way through your life, all through your days. You hear the other speakers. Anything that inspires you and touches you, you say, I want that. You write it down. Because you can have anything you choose if you're willing to go after it and get it. And the thing is, you can either be going after it to get it, or you can sit around complaining about all the people that are. That's pretty much how it rolls in life, in my opinion. You're either choosing your path and going after it, or you're sitting around, I'd love to use a bad word here, complaining about all the people that are. But there's a lot of kids in the room, so I'm not going to. And that's your choice, and I've been both. Every one of us is both at times. But I know it's a lot more fun for me is to get what I want, have a magnificent life, find a way to make a difference, earn a ton of money, have great relationships, have great adventures, grow personally my entire life, stay in good shape. All these things really freaking work for me, guys. But I have to work at it constantly because it's just as easy for me to drop in and start complaining about the taxes or the deficit or this or that or whatever. But you know what I've noticed? Every time I complain about how badly my football team plays, not a single one of their general managers has ever called me and say, Osborn, we wanted your opinion on how we played last weekend. They don't care. You know why? Because they're living their lives. So what my encouragement to you is do what I'm doing right here. Look at this video right here. This is your life. You're choosing your future. Each dot of light is your dream, your star that you're chasing. And as you choose your dots of light, your future, you build something that you move towards. And that's taking way too long, so I'm going to accelerate it. Your life is by design of these goals you set. And as you move towards the goal, the life you build will manifest because you chose it. You can either do that or you can let it happen to you. That's your choices. You can make things happen, or you can watch them happen, or you can experience them happening to you. Or wonder what happened, right? So I'm encouraging you to choose your own life, shaped by your intention and your dreams and your desires. All right, here's my favorite moment. But before I do that, I got to pause. I always go so fast. I need to slow down. I want you to share with me what came out for you in your 2-year goals. Who out there has something they want to share? Yes, ma'am. Stand up if you want to, or just say it from there. The Life Happiness Index made her realize she has to get a new one. What's your name, ma'am? What's your name? What's your name? Shanna. Thanks for sharing, Shanna. Go, keep going. I'm so sorry. Face your future. Nice.
Yeah. And do the grieving I need to do, and I need to value myself, and I need to use my creativity. And I want to paint another masterpiece.
Lovely.
And I want to read some more wonderful books. I want to keep this wonderful relationship with my children.
So let's go to paint a masterpiece. What has to happen for you to paint that masterpiece?
Just take the time.
Take the time, and what does that look like?
Doing it.
Doing it. Okay.
Sitting down.
Do you have the canvas?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have the paints?
Yes.
Do you have the place you paint?
Yes.
Do you have your favorite painting shirt?
Yes.
So have you scheduled in your day the time to paint?
No, I have not yet.
So let's write that down. So you can discover anything in life. Thank you very much for sharing. And this book's for you, although it is about wealth. This doesn't seem appropriate for an artist, but hey, my buddy Pat Hyman wrote it. There you go. You want to make money too? Good. So it's a perfect book for you then. All right. So thank you for sharing. That was very courageous of her. Give her a round of applause. So she already knows what she wants. All she has to do is schedule it in her life. That's it. She's got the favorite painting shirt. She's got the paint. She's got the canvas. So what do? You book it. You got to book it. You make an appointment with yourself to live a beautiful life. Who else? Yes, sir. Thank you for standing up.
My name's Ted, and I came up with 24 just because I ran out of numbers.
Well done, man.
Pay off my house, have my broker's license in real estate, move out of California, new car, no debt, enjoy my kids' success, lifetime relationship. I have been alone for a couple of years. 30 pounds lighter, 12 hours a week of exercise and activity, flexible, strong body, trip to Japan.
Awesome. You're awesome, dude. I love you.
I can stop.
Yeah, just sit down. That's exactly what I want to see. Now, wait. Before you stop, you can sit and talk. What's the most important to you out of those, do you think? What would make a difference in all the rest of them?
Probably enjoying my kids' success.
Perfect, okay. And so that's one to write down and develop. We'll get into that in a minute. So I'm going to give you a book also, 6 Steps to 7. You stole this one? Okay. You're going to be successful. Have you got the Go-Giver? Okay, now you get the Go-Giver. I love it. There's no stealing. All right. So, cool. You see how this works, right? Now what he's got to do, and we're going to work on the next steps. So don't think I'm just going to leave you hanging on the goal-setting spot. Keep in mind, I want to share with you that I did it that first year. 2 years later, I'd done 50%. Well, then I made goal-setting more important to me. But even though I made it more important to me, over the years as I set my goals, I still might have years where I did nothing towards my goals for 6 months. The only thing that matters is getting back up and getting after it again. But by the way, working out, they were interviewing Richard Branson the other day, and they said, what's the one most thing you'd tell us, an entrepreneur, to make him more successful? And he said, work out. Because if you take care of the body, everything else goes into place. And if you'd like it, this man is single. He'd like a good relationship. So if there's any single ladies in the room, he's right there. But if you work out, the ladies like that too. Okay, cool. So that's an example of us beginning this creative process. Now I want to do something else. So for this one, everyone has to stand up. A little bit. We're going to learn how to live unhooked. Everyone stand up with me for a second. Try not to hurt the person next to you. Hold your hands out. Imagine your hands are Ginsu knife sharp on this edge. You got like samurai blades as arms. And what we're going to do is we're going to run them all around our body real quick. Ready? Awesome. Sit down. Thank you. So what you just did is you took your Ginsu knife arms and you cut all the psychic entanglements that are weighing and blocking your life. You cut anything that doesn't serve you from hooking you in. Because life hooks us, right? Have you ever noticed how you're trying to get somewhere fast and someone else has a different idea of driving that day, and they're driving like 3 of them in a row? And have you noticed how that sometimes hooks you and changes your whole attitude? Have you noticed that? And you get like mad about it, and like you kind of maybe even show them a hand gesture or something, and maybe even like for 15 or 20 minutes you're still mad about something that is completely irrelevant. And then you pass them and you notice it's like a 90-year-old grandpa, and you're like, oh, why did I do that? I've never done that. I just thought you guys might have done that. But the other things that can hook you are what? Your sports team winning or losing. What's going on in politics? That's a huge one, man. Politics. I mean, does that really ever change your life? Being mad about the direction of the company, whether you were one side or the other, does that change your life? It changes your life. Okay, good. Well, she likes it. But everyone else, it's on her goal list. Be angry once a week at politics. Okay. 3 hours a day of anger. Does it change your life? See, everything pulls into us. All right? My friend's wife did what to who, or he left her, whatever. And all it's doing is it's sucking you out of your life, your agenda, your plan for you. So my encouragement is to live unhooked. It's a constant journey, but live unhooked. Don't get hooked into stuff. And if you find yourself sitting there going, blah, 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 tax rate, blah, 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 socialist, blah, 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 warmonger, stop. You know, there's this whole thing the other day, Zimmerman and Trayvon, like, do you think he did it? Do you not? I don't care. It's not my life. It's them sucking my energy out of me, making me watch TV, making opinions so they can control my life. And they are just an unconscious advertising agency that wants you to buy stuff. It's irrelevant to me. It doesn't matter to me. Do I have a feeling about it? Sure. Am I going to get locked into that feeling? No, I'm going to unhook from it, because what matters to me is that I enjoy my children's happiness. You're going to need therapy for that. What matters to me is that I choose the life I want and keep marching towards that life. And the more often I get off of that, the less I'm likely to be successful. And in high school, it's so easy, man. You guys in high school have so many reasons not to do anything for yourselves. There's so much injustice. The other kids don't always treat you nice. The teachers don't always seem to care at the level you think they should. Your parents certainly don't know anything, obviously. Look at them. Right? And so there's so many reasons to stay in this little prison that you're creating that limits your life. And if instead of doing all that, you just said, what do I want for my future? If you're 16 or 17 or 18 years old, you're out in 2 years, right? You can't blame anybody after that, but you will. Don't worry, you will. You won't lose all that. But as you go further and further towards your dreams, there'll be less and less room for that other stuff to come in and sneak your energy out of your life. So that's my encouragement to you. And by the way, every one of us struggles with it. Ask Tim about his political stuff, right? He's into it, man. But what is he working on? Unhooking. Are you happier without it or with it? Love it. He's unhooked. And are you happier or not happier? Yes, right. So it's a journey, but I can tell you I'd much rather walk with someone talking about how they're going to make the difference in 120 people's lives, teaching them life planning and life mastery stuff like Tim's doing now, than hear him rag about something that we can't control and has nothing to do with us. So the more you get on life and on purpose with your life, the more interesting a person you'll become. People that are interesting will want to hang out and talk with you, okay? So just keep choosing your purpose. And as I said, remember, this is an 18-year process. I had years where nothing that I chose happened. And the only thing that matters is you get back up and try again and you don't quit. All right, that's living unhooked. All right, so we've done the big question. Here's what you want in life, see? Concentricity, one of my favorite learnings. And this comes from a book called Millionaire Habits. You all know somebody like this, right? So concentricity says this. If you say this, but do this, in other words, people say one thing, but they do the complete opposite. Does everybody know somebody like that? Are we all occasionally that way? I'm going to go to the gym 100 times this year, and then you find the year's over and you haven't been once, right? You're out of concentricity. If you're out of concentricity, guess what happens in your life? You feel powerless. You feel inauthentic because your soul knows. This is where most people fit. They're partially concentric. There's an overlap. They say this and they do this. What your goal in his life is to get as most concentric as possible, meaning use your words carefully. Say you're going to do something and then follow through. You see, for me, this is where all the power lies. So in my life, I keep my word as best I can. In my life, if I say to you, hey, I'm going to pick that plastic cup off the grass, and then you wonder why I ran out of our meeting to go get the glass off the grass, it's because I remembered I said it. And I know that if I keep the faith with myself in the little things, guess what happens with the big things? Because you see, life knows I don't mess around. What I mean by that is if I say I'm going to do something, I'm probably going to do it. Not always. I drop the ball all the time, but I'm about 85% of my goals I hit. So that means if I said I'm going to build a building that serves homeless people and we're going to put $1 million a year into serving homeless people, what do you think the universe thinks? Well, we better help that guy get that building because he's the kind of guy that does what he says he's going to do. So I keep my word, not for you, not because I want you to think I'm a better person, not to look good, because I know that when I keep my faith, this gets easier. So the more I keep faith with going to the gym, exercising right, being great to Tracy, right, treating her golden, looking after my kid, getting quality time, the more I do all that stuff, the easier everything becomes in life. The easier it all becomes to do anything. So your life gets bigger and bigger. So you want to keep your word, but not to others, to yourself. That's what matters. And so to do that, here's what I do. These are my goals. And you see, I carry this around. This is like just what I asked you to do a minute ago. Here are my goals. I carry them around. I get to hold up my book of goals. This is a process, 18 years. Today, this is what I said. I set these goals. Does that look like I look at it once a year or more? A little more, right? Because what are all those Roman numerals? That's me checking off what I said I would do. Now, I want to be clear with you. There are probably some people that find great meaning in life. I hope this table doesn't break, because that would be really uncool if I broke my ankles while teaching. So, there are people, I believe, that go sit in the mountains like this. And they go, oh. And they feel incredibly fulfilled. And they feel in touch with the universe. And they feel one with God. I'm just not one of those guys. So in my experience, the way I get fulfillment is by making things happen. And what works for me is I say I'm going to do this, and I make it happen, and it fulfills my life. So every year now I get to sit down at the beginning of the year, just as I'm going to have you guys do in a minute, take those things from your 5-year plan, put them into a 1-year plan, and say, what do you want to have happen in 2014? Here's some examples. Read 40 books, work out 250 times, create content for my wealth training series, write a book, review my goals 50 times. That's the most important one, by the way. Every one of you should have that goal. Take Tracy on 4 vacations with the family, have 12 date nights, give away $50,000, kayak in Norway on an entrepreneur's adventure trip, have a 1-week technology-free vacation. So all this stuff that I get to create every year while sitting in a Starbucks, 85% of it comes true. So that to me is compelling. When I meditate, I make it about 90 seconds. And then I go, what am I doing here? Oh, yes, I'm meditating. Yes. It's just like, it doesn't work for me. Is anyone a good meditator in here? Okay, you're teaching the next class. You guys are all teaching the class that's a lot easier than what I'm teaching you. So let's switch forward to this page. This is your goals. And you're going to, again, take some time, take the goals from your 5-year, bring them to the present, and write down your goals in these areas. Relationship, family, spiritual contribution, physical nutrition. Oh, I missed one. There's 2, physical nutrition, health. One of them is supposed to say financial. So cross out the orange one or the red one, your choice, and put financial goals there. So this is something that I do, by the way. Usually I go to a Starbucks, or I go to a peaceful park, or I go someplace that I really want to go, and I sit down and I craft my goals. It's fun to have people around that aren't bothering you, so you can go to a Starbucks where you don't know people. And then I asked Tracy to do the same thing. So every year Tracy sits down and she writes her goals. There's nowhere nice to go hang out. Ah, I see. Well, then I would go to the top of a mountain where no one was around. And you craft your life. And you think, what do I want to have happen next year, next quarter? Tim and Pat and I will be meeting with 2 other guys in 2 weeks, actually, in Dallas, Texas. So 5 of us. And before we get there, we will have reviewed how we did on our goals year to date and what we're thinking about the first 25 for 2014. And we're going to sit on meditate on that. And by the way, Tracy didn't do it for years. For years and years, people always say, well, how does your partner feel about this? And, I always say, I don't care. Because if she's in, she's in. If she's not in, that's her choice. She can do what she wants. But for me, as long as she's not pulling me down and preventing me from hitting my goals, she can do whatever she wants. That's her choice. But over time, I guess being exposed to it, now she's started to write her goals with Tina, Tim's wife, and they get together and they're peer partners for one another as well. And then we just merge our plans. So we make sure we're getting life's goods. All right, so I'm going to let you carry that one with you, okay? You can keep filling it out over time. You don't have to go in order. You can jump about. Then you take your 5 big rocks, because here's another important piece. You set 40 goals a year like I do, 35 to 50 goals a year, but they're not all equal. Then you pick the most important ones. Pick 5 and make those your commitments. Pick 5 that you're going to nail no matter what. 5 will make all the difference. So you pick those 5 and you say, okay, what has to happen for me to hit these goals? This year I will read 25 books. This month I'll read 2. This week I'll read a half of 1. Very simple, right? So you make a plan for your goals. I'm going to leave you guys with that one as well. So here's the next thing that happens. Once you start living an on-purpose life. Wait, pause. Osborn, slow down, man. I want to hear back from you, feedback. What was that process like? Young man, what's your name? I'm going to go right to this high school kid. He's like, yeah, who are you talking to, man? Seriously, you brave? You ready? You're not brave? That's okay, because you know what? If there's no fear, there's no courage, there's no bravery. So tell me one thing you'd like to have happen in your life. Make a lot of money? Volkswagen bus? Awesome. Okay, so tell me about that. What's your vision for that Volkswagen bus? That's a cool thing. So what's it going to look like in a year? Will it be restored? Yeah. Cool. And you're going to, once it's restored, what are you going to do? Drive around the country with your friends? Now that is an awesome goal. You guys like that goal? Now let me ask you, here's a shy kid, but if somebody was sitting next to you in a bar and they said to you, hey, well, not in a bar. Let's take that one back. How old are you? Okay, in about 7 more years. Okay, so you're sitting at a Starbucks and a young guy comes up to you and you say, hey, what are you up to, kid? And they go, I hate my parents. That's one way it goes. Here's another way it goes. Well, actually, I'm restoring a Volkswagen bus. And as soon as I fix that bus and I graduate from high school and I've worked for a year to save some money, me and my best buds are going to travel all around the United States in that Volkswagen bus. Is that a life you'd like to have? Can you guys connect with that? Because I can. That's the kind of guy I'd like to talk to. So here you go, son. Here's $100 towards your Volkswagen bus because you were brave enough to participate. There you go. See, when you're brave, even when you're afraid, and even when someone puts you on the spot, you're going to win. So if you're brave and you'll step up, because every one of us is terrified. When I was his age, I was terrified. I used to sit in the back of the room. It was easier to mock the teachers than step up and say something, to be a contributor. Right? Everyone's scared. Every single person in this room gets scared to step up. It gets easier, but it's still a fearful thing, right? So what happens if you step up and you take the risk and you share your dream, you're more likely to get it and you're more likely to win. So I hope you have all your dreams come true, my friend. Here's the next thing that happens. Oh, I want to hear more from you guys. Sorry. Keep doing that. I'm like a speedboat. I can't slow down. I want to say to this lady, too, that's a big rock, right? Like what she just described. So simple little goals to help you get there are date nights, other things like that. When I was dating Tracy, she said to me one time, she said, honey, dating you is like being in the back seat of your car. And I said to her, well, honey, why would you put up with that? That sounds awful. She said, because every now and then you put me in the front seat, and it's so nice. So my goal with Tracy and my commitment is to keep her in the front seat all the time. That's my goal. Don't be like throwing it at me all the time because I know I'll fail. So here's the other thing that happens. When you become a goal-driven individual, when you become a goal-driven, purposeful person, and you're living a life of purpose instead of complaint, and action instead of complaining and whining, you attract people, and you start building a tribe. And this lady nailed it. She was a good segue for me. She's going to take Tim to breakfast. The more on purpose you are, people say eagles fly alone. Let me tell you, it's not true. That doesn't mean achievers don't work alone a lot, but there's nothing achievers like better than rolling with achievers. There's nothing better than being with a group of guys. This is one of my mastermind groups. And these guys and us, we just went to Norway together. We had an adventure trip. We were in Steamboat last year masterminding. 50 of us are getting together in Tahoe in March. All of these guys have their own businesses. They do their own thing. They are entrepreneurs. Most of them are millionaires, although that's not what's required. One of them is a Heisman Trophy winning football player, Ricky Williams right there. And we get together twice a year, and we talk about everything I'm showing you here, right? Because how much more interesting is a conversation about the book you wrote because you were an brain aneurysm survivor, or traveling around the country in a VW bug, or how you want to spend time being connected to the happiness of your kids, versus what are average conversations. And the more you get these really cool conversations that touch you and move you and inspire you, the more you'll want to have them. And you'll find you start attracting a flock or a crew or a tribe of people that are achievers that make things happen. And you get out of the mundane and into the magnificent. So keep in mind that the more purposeful you become, you want to surround yourself with purposeful people. And all of a sudden, if you find someone whining to you for the 15th day in a row about how mean their boss is and how limited their life is, you just might say, hey man, I don't have room for you in my life anymore. And it's painful. And I'm not trying to say this lightly, but if you want to have a magnificent life, you can't surround yourself with people that want to live in the mud. Okay? And so occasionally that requires a situation where you say, you know, I'm going to just have to distance myself from you a little bit. And it's painful and sad, but it's a choice you have to make if you want to have greatness. And if you want to have greatness, it's a slow process. You step there slowly, but it's a lot easier when the people around you also are choosing to live magnificent lives. So the more you do this, the more you build a tribe, you'll find people are attracted to you. And you'll find that these moments are your most exciting. I can't wait till Dallas. Because in Dallas, I'll be sitting down with 5 powerful individuals. Andrew Cushman's going to be there, Tim Rhoda is going to be there, and 3 other guys that aren't here. And we're going to be sharing what we're going to do, what we're making happen, and what we're going to do. And it's just so powerful. It's like a mastermind. It's amazing. All right, so now it's not just about getting small goals. It's about getting your big goals. So we keep taking this process forward. You think of the light matrix, and then we go to the bucket list. Has everyone seen the movie The Bucket List? If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's a cool movie with Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman called The Bucket List. And I'm not going to make you do too much of this, but I want at least a few of you to write down what's on your bucket list. One of my goals is also to be a best-selling author, Ruth, just like yours. So I'm going to be a best-selling author. That's going to happen for me. I've got 50 of these. We post them on Google Docs. All our friends post them, and then we can steal other great ideas from one another. So what is on your bucket list? What do you want to experience before you die? This bucket list piece got me to the top of Kilimanjaro. It got me to give away $100,000 one year. One of my next goals is to give away $1 million in 1 year. I gave away $100,000 in 1 year. Tim always pops in for that one. Hey, Tim. Here you go, buddy. Here's $2,000. Come on down here. That's for one life. Here you go, buddy. Yeah. Good stuff, man. You did good stuff. So that's for one life. I wrote it out to you personally. I'm going to 1099 you for it, okay? So write down your bucket list items. What do you want to have happen before you die? Anything you want. These are things you just aim for. They inspire you. You get together with a group of guys that have a bucket list, and your conversation instead of how bad the economy is, your conversation is, what's on your bucket list? What would you love to have happen before you die? I want 4 kids. I wrote out there on that 5-year thing. Are we all supposed to be writing on that? Everyone's supposed to write outside on that sheet what you want to have happen for you in 5 years. I put 4 kids. I got 2. We're trying for some more, and we just want 2 more. 1 would be fine. Twins. Twins would be perfect. And then I'm going to move into the house next door and let Tracy raise them. It's going to be awesome. Just kidding, honey. Front seat. I know. Front seat. Well, cool. So tribe building is awesome. It's actually one of the critical pieces. I usually hammer it harder, but I didn't want to push it too hard. But your peers, if you added up your 10 closest friends or your 5 closest friends, you took their lifestyle, their net worth, and averaged it out, that'd probably be your lifestyle. So if your 5 closest friends were Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Warren Buffett, and Michael Dell, you'd be in one spot. And if your 5 closest friends were a drug dealer, a non-recovered alcoholic, a thief, you'd probably be in a different environment, right? So you take the people near you and you say, I am choosing more for me. Is this person willing to come with me, which would be my first choice, and if they're not, then you have to say, is this a relationship that's going to work? Because whatever you hang out with, I'm telling you, it just gets in there. So your peers are very important, and you want to attract that. We do cool couples masterminding. We do masterminding. If you're a couple that's just getting married, for instance, you might pick another couple. Do you guys live in Reno? No. Okay. Because there's a cool couple over here, Nicole and Mike. What's your... Stand up, Mike. Mike and Nicole are a beautiful couple from here in Reno. And they're, if you're looking for masterminding, they'd be perfect. They're both independent business owners, good people to know. You want to start attracting it. They're good neighbors. Are you their neighbor? Sweet. Oh, there was State Farm, yes. State Farm is there. All right, so here's what I want to show you. This is cool, right? Check this out. This is a bucket list item. This is a dude I don't know, but this was in my dream map, my vision board you guys created early for a few years. This is me a few months ago. That is really a 3,000-foot drop under that rock. So I wouldn't have this life if I hadn't learned about these things I'm teaching you today and made it a way of life for me. So that was one of my goals, and I hit it. Tim was with me. It was a blast. That is called the Kreggbolta in Norway. We just took 11 guys to Norway for a 12-day mastermind. We kayaked 50 days. We had a 12th guy with us in spirit, Byron. Byron, stand up for a second. Byron was supposed to come with us, but he had a heart attack or something, but he's here now. Good to see you, Byron. By the way, a couple years before that, we were supposed to do Kilimanjaro, and Tim couldn't make that one for a heart thing as well. May have saved his life. So 11 of us, and what we do is we just walk around. We talk about everything I've shared with you today. When we're walking and hiking, it's like, hey, what's one of your bucket list items? Hey, what's one of your commitments? Hey, how could you make your relationship with your beloved better? And it's intense and it's fun. And we hiked 50 miles, we kayaked 50 miles, we played ultimate frisbee, and then we played in Oslo one night at the end and Bergen one night at the beginning. Every one of those guys is fascinating to have a conversation with, and not one of us got locked into politics or locked into tax rates or locked into negativity. It was all about what we can manifest and make happen in our lives. It was incredible. Right? And then the last tool I'm going to give you is your 5-year vision. And again, I think because we're short on time, you should just remember this and take it to a Starbucks. How the 5-year vision works is you sit down in a quiet place of your choosing, and you craft a letter back to yourself as if you'd already lived the last 5 years. And what you say is, Dear David, the last 5 years were awesome because we had 2 new babies, and our new babies are healthy and beautiful. In fact, one's 2 now, one's 3. Their names are whatever, and they're having a great time. And my 4-year-old is now 9. She's in school. She loves school. She still plays golf. She sings. And then you go on, my financial situation has gotten so much better. I paid off all my debt, and I bought the first 2 rental properties. My relationship with my beloved is the best it's ever been. We just took our trip to Tuscany. That's how you create it. You write that letter to yourself from the future. Because what I want you to do is fill your mind and your life with distractions of your choosing. Fill your life and your mind with things that you're pursuing as opposed to just junk that comes flying into our brains. Don't let them control you. You choose your purpose and control your life. And understand, I realize that at any moment something could change for us. At any moment you can have a health situation show up. At any moment something can radically shift in your life that you have no control of. You can have a brain aneurysm. My mom's just going through breast cancer. My dad died of lung cancer. All these things can happen. So I'm not saying I'm like egocentric enough to think that I can control my life. What I'm saying is, while I'm here, I'm going to make the most of this life as best as I can. I'm going to choose my purpose and I'm going to go after it. So the one thing I would tell you about this whole process before we finish is this. The most important energy you bring into this process is forgiveness. You have no permission from me to beat yourself up ever for not hitting a goal. You have no permission to talk down to yourself. The gift I want you to give yourself over this is non-judgment. So everyone say after me, the gift I give myself is I don't judge myself. 1, 2, 3. The gift I give myself is I don't judge myself. Because the only thing that will slow you down faster than not setting goals is setting goals, not hitting them, and then spending days beating yourself up for being a loser because you didn't say what you're going to do. You didn't do what you said you were going to do. It's irrelevant. The only thing that matters is you stop right at that moment and say, what do I choose to have in my future? If you get into self-dysfunction, self-negative self-talk, it's just an excuse not to take action. That's all it is. You're just building your prison back up. You're saying, I don't want a great life. I'd rather sit in here and feel bad about myself. Boom, 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 boom. So don't do that. We have no permission ever to talk negatively to ourselves. Is it going to happen? Sure. The minute you catch it, you give yourself the gift of non-judgment. If you do that, you'll clear plenty of space out of the way, because we're all our own harshest critics, to create and receive a masterful life. All right, last 2 slides I'm going to show you. And I know I'm probably almost on the risk of running over. Number 1 is this. This is wealth mastery. I didn't touch much on this today, but this is what's coming out next. Wealth mastery says you're here. This is the money river. You bring your bucket of skills to the money river and you carry them up the hill to your house. You pour them into your depository accounts. Money flows through your main line and goes out to your vacations, your school loans, your rents, your utilities, and your VW bugs that you're repairing. So there's a little left over, either little or in some cases there's negative left over, but whatever, there's some left over. And then what you do with that becomes your savings and your investments. Your goal in life from a financial point of view is to build pipelines to wealth so that money comes in whether you get out of bed or not. This is the next level. We've done Life Management 101. Life Management 202 is financial freedom. Okay? And this is something else that Tim and Pat and I work on all the time. So this is where you build like one rental property, one passive investment, one business, and you bring value to the marketplace, and that's where you make your money. So this is the next piece. You can read all about that in my bestseller. Wealth Can't Wait. If you go to www.wealthcan'twait, that's where you can get it. All right, guys, my only dream for you is that all your dreams come true. So thank you for being with me today. Good luck. Go make it happen.